It's me, Vera, here to remind you that this is an adult podcast. That means we're going to deal with tough topics. Take a break if you need it, and be kind to yourself, because we sure won't be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition podcast. As always, I am your storyteller, Mike Martin, joined by my four fantastic players, Josh, Mark, and Bub.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm getting better at getting through your names faster and not stumbling. It's starting to become second nature.
I look forward to the day where you merge them all into one giant name.
Yeah, that's a hard one, man. I have to really pick that one apart. It's going to be hard. I'm excited for this episode, but before we get in, as always, thank you everybody over on Patreon for supporting the show. If you want to jump in and directly support us and get some neat little rewards, including a colored name on Discord, and maybe this month, for those who've already part of it, of the correct tier, something's getting mailed to you. So that's kind of exciting stuff. Oh yeah, so go check that out. It directly supports us, helps us out, and also ensures that you get some neat little goodies in return. But if you can't do that and want to just support us in another way, telling your friends, family, what have you, leaving us a review, helping the magical algorithms wherever you may be listening, that's the best way to go about it. That helps
Feed
us.
the algorithm fairies.
Exactly. Please them, please, so that we can continue to grow and we can keep providing some amazing vampire content for you all. I think that's it for us, as always. So let's rein it in and see what our coterie is up to. A familiar rushing of water greets our ears with the slow dripping of the New York sewers. We see in the distance the silhouette of a man in jeans and a t-shirt with his arms kind of crossed, looking back and forth rapidly over his shoulder as he wanders aimlessly. Eventually, he comes into camera's view, and we see the familiar face of Max's particular contact, Sam. I forgot his name for a brief moment. Sam, however, is looking around, as I imagine Max stays obfuscated most of the time until who he's looking for arrives. And it's at this point, Max, that you can see Sam rounding a corner, kind of just looking around, knowing that this is the area he usually bumps into you, but it's up to you to bump into him.
Are we above ground or in the sewers?
No, we're in the sewers. We're in the sewers.
Cool. So yeah, Max has been standing there with Cloak of Shadows, and as Sam approaches, he ripples into view. This time, this will be the first time Sam is seeing this, there is a wrinkled and hairless cat perched on Max's shoulder.
Sam jumps briefly for a moment. He always does. Every time you appear out of these, appear like that, it just catches him by surprise, and he never seems to get used to it. But that surprise quickly fades at this point, and he does catch the cat on your shoulder, and he's like, I didn't ever pin you for a cat guy.
Oh, yeah, me? From way back. Hey, how you doing? This here's Max Jr. Say hello, Max Jr. He's not too talkative.
Sam kind of watches with a curious look on his face, and he smiles like, no, I always just, for some reason, I always thought a dog, would suit you. But now that I see, and he gestures up to Max Jr., he's like, it all makes sense.
Hey, yeah, I've had a few dogs in my time. Had a pug once. Man, those things are cute.
He actually does giggle, and for the first time in a while, Max realizing that he seems a little bit more loose and jovial this visit, not nearly as tense and stressed as he has the past few times. As he chuckles at that comment, he looks up to you genuinely. He's like, so what's up? What do you need? I don't have any way of getting your blood yet.
I was just checking in on you, see how you doing. Looks like you got a little more hitch in your step, huh?
Oh, I feel a lot better at the very least. Thanks for that, for, again, getting me out of there. And, my sister's doing pretty good, too. I'm ready to get working again. I feel like I'm getting a little antsy in the house, ready to be productive.
I got you. Well, here's a couple hundred that tide you over.
As you pull out this wad of cash and hand it to him, genuine, again, shock and surprise, and he just pushes, he's like, I can't.
Come on. What am I gonna spend it on, huh? Though I got a little more overhead, I gotta buy a box for this guy to shit in.
He does a stifled chuckle again as he kind of brings his eyes from your face down to the money and back again. And he looks. He's like, you've given me so much at this point. Like my life is what it is because of you. I don't know. And for a loss of words, he looks down and you watch as he physically swallows his pride and reaches forward with a gulp and just kind of grabs the money. He's like, yeah, but I need food.
Hey, don't
Thank
worry
you.
about it, kid. It's pieces of paper, right? So, yeah.
He quickly shoves it into his pocket out of his own sight so he doesn't have to look at it, and you can see the guilt kind of fade away a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah. I guess we do gotta talk about the future, though, right?
He nods. Like I said, I don't know if I can go back and work where I was, but I can, wherever I end up, I can give me some time, set up the paperwork, build a believable paper trail for you, and we can kind of pick back up.
Sure, that sounds okay. I mean, geographically, we're gonna want somewhere relatively close, That place was pretty convenient. I can still dip in there myself when I need to, but, yeah, do what you gotta do.
He thinks for a minute, and he takes a moment. He's like, well, there's no other major hospitals, but with a resume like mine, I could probably get a job at a local clinic or something that takes blood every so often. I wouldn't be able to get it to you as often as I did, but I could stay close that way.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the way it's gotta be.
He looks kind of over his shoulder and a little bit of paranoia as he typically does. He's like, but if if I get I get a job at somewhere bigger, I could always drive the supply to you.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. More regular is better,
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what the clinic's supplies are like. I can't imagine they're as big as a hospital, so
Yeah.
it'd be a commute and a half, but I'll just take the subway.
Yeah, okay. Well, you ever need to pay for an Uber or whatnot, you're gonna have... you can chalk that up to expenses.
He smiles like, yeah, I feel a lot less guilty about doing it that way.
Fair enough.
So then you want me to go look into a hospital gig?
Yeah, I'm kind of gonna need a regular supply again, you know what I'm saying?
He enthusiastically nods his head. He's like, I've been itching to just get back to work. I'll start throwing out my resume soon then, and we'll keep my disappearance from that place a little bit under wraps.
Yeah. But, tell me, did you check back in with them, let them know that maybe you hit your head and you were staying with your sister and that? It's probably good for you to not just disappear totally, right?
Yeah, but I pawned it off on a traumatic experience. I don't want to work where such an event took place again. It's too much for me, and so I'm good. They're not going to take me back.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Listen, we still don't know if Gustav specifically knew who you were. He knew I was getting blood from there, but... It's not like he was directly targeting you, is what I'm saying.
Oh, as you say that, because for a minute he looked concerned, but as you kind of clarify, the concern washes away. Well then, I can only hope that the further away I am, the better it is for both of us.
Maybe, yeah.
Alright, well, is there anything else I can do to help in the meanwhile?
Do what you were doing, Sam. And, I guess keep your eyes peeled. We can't be too careful with Gustav still out there. I mean, I thought he was dead for the last however many decades. I only found out he was alive about 10 years ago, so... Yeah, he's a tricky one.
I don't ever think I'll fully understand the kind of lives we live. I don't know how you get through night to night. It just seems so... This just seems like too damn much.
Yeah, and I gotta say, well, let me put it this way. these younger nosses, you know, a lot of them can get by with, something must have happened to that guy's face. That guy looks kind of sick, but, you know, when I walk into show up, it's like Bugs fucking Bunny walked into the room. There's no getting around it, right? So, yeah.
Wait. Why do you look so different?
Yeah, well, Gustav is one of them old Carpathian bloodlines. Yeah, so, he and me and... I guess Stinky too. Listen, here's something I should let you know. Gustav's got another child. She goes by the name Stinky. And...
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, if you met her, you'd get it. But, listen, again, this might sound odd, but if you run into anyone who seems particularly nondescript, that might be her. She's got a little trick. It's not something I can pull, but she can walk around, not invisible, but unnoticed, blended into the crowd, you know what I'm saying?
I didn't know that you had that. She can do it, but you can't. But she's the same. She comes from the same person.
Well, we're all different,
What?
you know.
Yeah. All right. That's someone who looks nondescript. All right, Max. I'll do my best.
Yeah, look, I don't mean to turn you into some kind of paranoid basket case, but like I say, you might want to keep your eyes peeled.
She can't look like somebody I know, right? Like she's not like an animorph or something.
An animorph? I don't know that one.
Oh,
Is that
wait. Sorry.
Is that like Manimal? I know Manimal.
He's like, he shakes his head. What's Manimal?
It was back in the 80s. Never mind. All right. Look, we're getting bogged down here in references. All right, so, yeah. She,
I'll keep my eyes out for
I don't think she
someone
can.
Nos.
I know some Nas can, but they gotta be pretty powerful to pull that off.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't want to say you made me more nervous, but I don't feel more stable.
Yeah, nervous is probably good.
All right. Somebody nondescript.
Nervous keeps you alive, right?
But you're certain that Gustav wasn't after me, at least.
I don't want to say certain.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep an eye out.
Okay.
Thanks, Max.
No problem.
And you see him slide his hand in his pocket again where the money was, and gives you an awkward nod before turning and heading back the way he came. After he turns the corner, do we watch Max ripple out of existence and make his way back to the club, or where would Max head at this point?
I think, a little bit of scouting of the Thin Bloods Club would probably be
Omnia.
Omnia, yes, would probably be in order.
So Max begins making his way that way, and as he begins to make his way down towards Staten Island, we will cut and move to a busy main street. People pushing by one another in a typical New York night, but standing above them, sticking out as he does, is Duke Premind. His eyes locked in a particularly fixed location, a small corner store that we know as the entrance to the chantry. People moving in and out, but people moving around and walking by it, but curiously, as Duke has noticed over the many years, no one ever goes into shop or seems to leave from shopping. You cross the street with a large crowd of people and approach the solid red door with glass looking in. Much like it was last time, it seems to be an odds and ends shop. Antiques and bizarre collectibles, and a blonde woman sitting behind the desk reading a magazine, completely ignoring any and all happenings in the shop, which there seem to be none. Does Duke knock or does he walk in? What would Duke do as he approached the chantry?
Knock. There's a curt knock they would hear.
2 sharp knocks, and as he looks through the glass, you see as the young woman is startled, closes the magazine and pops up quickly. She makes a quick walk over to the door and cracks it, and you recognize her. You have spoken with her many a time. Mr. Premind, we haven't had the luxury of your visit ever since the loss of dear Johann.
I understand. My apologies. I've been rather occupied the last few weeks or so.
Understandable. We all have our business. Please. And she steps out of the way.
I'll step inside.
As you do so, she shuts the door behind you and she walks back behind the desk. How can I help you tonight?
I was hoping to speak with someone that could help me understand broader topics that Johann may have been able to, but as of that time, well, I think he sort of disguises things for a moment. We've been mourning and rather occupied. Johann was a valuable asset to myself, and since I've lost his business, I've had to recoup in different ways. So I'm hoping to continue leisurely extending my business to those in the chantry and discover some things as well.
She seems to take it in pretty much quietly, not writing anything down or interrupting your speech. And when you finish, she looks to you and then looks over to the back door. She then says, if you excuse me a moment then. And she quietly walks to the back door, opens it, and disappears. You can hear what sounds to be footsteps that walk their way up the stairs. She's gone for quite a while. 30 minutes pass of you standing alone in this quiet little shop before the door swings back open, and before you is the woman that you met and seems to know of you, the regent of this particular chantry, Miss Sturbridge. She's got long, straight, dark hair, and she seems to stare at you with intent. Mr. Bremen, please follow me.
I stand and do so.
As you follow past the doorway, you're led down the hallway with a red rug and many wooden doors on your left and right-hand side. She seems to choose one at random, and as the door swings open, it seems to be a small room. Table, chairs, candlelit, flickering in all the corners of the room, with books lining some bookshelves, though none of them seem to be mystic of any kind, just plain mortal books. As you step in and she walks in behind you, she closes the door gently and ushers for you to take a seat.
I'll do that.
As you do so, she stands and just watches you. And as you take a seat and you each meet eyes, there's someone who is able to almost return as cold a stare as you can. No emotion on her face. And as you look upon her, it's as though staring at somebody who's as cold-hearted and dead inside as you are, in a lot of ways. And very plainly she speaks. We haven't seen you since the death of our apprentice. Do you know what happened? Do you have any information that you could feed us? Lead us down a more correct and investigative path.
The only information I was given about the removal of Johann was at the hands of another kindred, a kindred that was believed to have been removed from kindred life. We've discovered that that is not quite the case.
In this particular kindred, do they have a name?
Yes. Miss Sturbridge, I feel it is important to inform you as the regent of the chantry, the formative leader of sorts, that if I depart with you upon this name, that it might cause some issues within the Camarilla.
As though you speak of one of our own?
Potentially. I don't know of the weight that they carried nor the people that they knew. It was a woman. I say this confidently, knowing that you will bite your tongue if necessary. A woman by the name of Meer.
No expression crawls across her face. She quietly absorbs the knowledge. Disappointing.
Which part?
Oh, that she still lives.
It was in fact disappointing. It was something that we were hoping to quell when we discovered this information. It seems that we're attempting to clean up the mess of others.
This certainly casts a poor light on our dear thin-blood Primogen. It was his duty to ensure her death.
He does a fine job of that himself.
I do not wish to argue with you.
None. It was simply an agreement. I'd like to extend...
and you both speak almost at the same moment, both breaking from thought, but she purses her lips and gestures for you to speak.
Very well. I'd like to extend my working relationship with Johann to those further into the chantry. I recognize that the life that I have chosen is not the same of which that Johann had. While I may not understand the greater workings and the levels of achievement that one can attain in the chantry, I recognize value, and I understand where business goes. I practice numbers, Miss Sturbridge.
I am aware.
Numbers are fickle things, but they're honest. People are not.
On that, we also agree. Perhaps in another life you would have made an excellent Tremere, Mr. Bremond. Seems your dedication to your own ambitions is resolute, stalwart.
I took flight in my life as a kindred, where I floundered as a kind.
That being said, it is unfortunate that you are not one of our kind. How is it that you believe you can even assist us, Mr. Bremond?
Some of my more simple or basic skills. I have enough training to keep businesses afloat, which is why Johann kept me on board. I need to assure that I have a curt indirect line to feeding.
I see, so that was your arrangement with him then. You have to understand, each individual member within our chantry is an individual. Their dealings are their own. They don't have to run everything by us.
Did Johann bring to you any measurement of wards or runes, as I had suggested to him previously?
I believe I saw him working on them, though they were not presented to me. He wasn't my direct student in there. Let me try that again. Sorry, no, I got cut off there. He wasn't my direct student in any manner. He was merely an apprentice.
You have many that operate under you then.
She kind of quietly looks around. The chantry works under me. She says, this chantry works under me.
Wonderful. Then I've come to the right person. I see this as only beneficial for me. Something that its visibility is going to be growing under your eyes. I was valuable to Johann. He was able to manage his business to the best of his ability because he could rest assured knowing that I could keep him clean to more than just kindred eyes. As I said, I'm good with numbers. I can follow them, but I enjoy puzzles. The chantry is a puzzle to me, Miss Sturbridge, and while I operate with a camarilla, it is purely because my sire had more or less not given me an opportunity or choice to do so. I didn't know the world of the chantry before it was too late. Not that the future doesn't present many opportunities.
I am aware of your talent with numbers, Mr. Bremond. You have helped many of our kind within New York with your supernatural ability to keep things calculated and neat and tidy. There is value there. Perhaps there will be use for you. Puzzles do need solving, but keep in mind, the secrets of the chantry are ours. Anything given to you. And then she just kind of shakes her head.
Then in exchange, knowledge is important, wouldn't you agree?
She just quietly nods.
I've come upon something this past evening, something that would be incredibly valuable to the chantry. And I'd like to exchange the words of that information, but everything comes at a cost, Miss Sturbridge, you understand that.
And as she kind of looks to you, she takes a step forward.
I'm willing to extend a peaceful olive branch and request that we continue a relationship of which is similar to what I had with Johann, but with you yourself. If I bear information of the things that my eyes see and that my logic follows, I believe that I can inform you of some things that are happening here in our city.
New York is alive with undead every night. Things happen beyond my sight consistently. What makes you so sure this is something worth even speaking to me?
You're right about all of the things that you've just stated, but how often is New York alive with demons?
How certain are you of that claim, Mr. Bremond? For it is one that brings nothing but death to those who practice it.
Based on the information that I was forefended, I can say with confidence that it was one of few things. I do not think that it was Tzimisce, not by design. The way that it was described, you would almost say that it was some sort of infernal hell beast. A demon, from my understanding. Skin flayed and hanging, siphoning the blood from the many in the room. I'm not familiar with anything like that. Johann had told me that there were things, there were ways, way above his pay grade.
The Bali?
I wish I could express knowledge of the sort, but it's something that's been private to me.
That's a simple explanation, those of our kind who practice in demon worship.
From my understanding, the individuals that were summoning this creature, and I do say summoning lightly, I find it to be rather sophomoric by design. They were kind. They were kind that happened to have some sort of salve or unguents, various mixtures that had been given to them to make it easier. But it managed to shake those in my coterie.
A location would be most useful, Mr. Premind.
Of course. And this is that olive branch. And I'll pass her the information of the club.
It sits on the table for a few moments. She looks to you for a while and then looks down and reaches and picks it up. She holds it folded between her fingertips for a while before tucking it into a pocket, before reading it. Consider the olive branch accepted, then. I look forward to speaking more with you, but if what you say is true, a particular few need to be informed, and we need to make sure that area is cleansed. You've ensured my next few nights are rather busy, Mr. Premind. I would ask you to take your leave.
Duke nods and leaves.
As you stand, she stands and watches you leave the room quietly, the door shutting behind her. And Duke leaving the front of the chantry as the camera flies out to the busy street, and we watch the taller individual with his clean white shirt blend, with air quotes, into the crowd as he leaves. The camera pans upward to the night sky, and as we pan downward, where do we catch Vera?
Once everyone has left the club, she puts on her best. And she is in desperate need of some good gossip. There's no better way to find puzzle pieces than to dig them out of gossip. So she's going to go hunt for the biggest gossip in New York, the Harpy.
And where would Vera go looking for the Harpy, out of curiosity? The Harpy tends to be in lots of places a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
However, they are rather busy, and you imagine they're rather, probably doubly so, with the prince being gone.
Of course.
That would put him somewhere towards an Elysium, likely.
Maybe it's time. Vera doesn't show up to Elysium very often. Maybe she'll, if for this, she will go to Elysium.
Now, it's not to say that there's an Elysium taking place, but
Sure,
Elysiums are
but the
taken care
space.
of, looked over, and occasionally vampires still find their way within as needed. Can I get let's get a proper roll here for you. Can I get a wit streetwise from Vera?
Yeah, I
Is
also
Vera-
have,
is
I don't know
Streetwise-
if, I do have one in Streetwise. She
Cool.
actually did take a Streetwise, but I do have 2 in Politics.
Politics would
one
be
in
an appropriate
Etiquette,
replacement for streetwise, 100%.
And then I do have 2 dots of status in the Camarilla as well.
I would absolutely apply. So you may
Okay,
add
so I
your
believe
2
that
dots
gives
of
me
status as
one-
well.
Okay, so 2 Politics. Oh, what would you like with the Politics? You said wits?
Yeah, wits, as you're more just kind of moving around the city,
Mhm.
asking those you may know for information amongst the rose garden and perhaps
I got 3.
3. And would you like to re-roll 2 of those, or are you good with the 3?
This is important. She's actually trying tonight. She can't sit around and drink vodka and smoke cigars every night. No successes. So
Okay, so 3 successes. So 3 successes is enough to find the man you're looking for. However, it takes a majority of the night, as you have to really move around the city, asking when last seen, and even arriving at areas he may have been no longer there, needing to kind of follow his trail. So we'll say, like I said, about half the night has taken place of Vera mingling. I'm curious, not that we need to go into detail, But Vera mingling with other kindred is not something we see
Oh.
very often. Is Vera? Is she more curt? Is she to kind of just ask what she's looking for? Or does Vera spend time with those she's trying to pull information from, even if she's simply looking for the harpy? How does Vera gather information?
That's not really who Vera is.
Right.
Part of the reason she keeps to herself is because her appearance should be part of the,
So I
the
imagine
plan,
then it's like
basically, right? When
ask
she arrives,
only
it's
who's
not
necessary.
that she doesn't go to people.
Mhm.
She happens to be at Elysium, so it's your turn to seek her out, kind of a thing, if that makes sense. Like it's a poise, as well as a play in a social environment.
So it's more that, like I said, you said Vera arrives at Elysium, and those who don't ever get to see Vera very often or who are interested in speaking with Vera end up making their way to Elysium on this particular evening, hoping to catch a glimpse or even maybe a conversation with you. And it's less that you're looking for Arturo, and more that you're putting out that you're at Elysium and knowing where Arturo, who's going to perhaps see Arturo, that message gets carried along the waves. It still takes about a half the night as the information has to disseminate from Vera to those who come to see her and then to Arturo. But about 5 or 6 hours of being at Elysium, keeping to yourselves and speaking only to those who you think would be valuable to speak to, Arturo does make an appearance. He's speaking with someone. You're not sure if it's a kind or a kindred, but they're having words, and he does catch your eye briefly. But Arturo being Arturo, he doesn't come over to you. He sees you, he makes sure you see him, and then he continues about as though you are nothing but a passing thought, and he tries to meander by.
He just needs his ego stroked. So Vera, for the first time tonight, gets up and instead brushes off whoever she's speaking with, because this is a named kindred, which is important, or like a titled kindred.
The harpy is arguably to some even more powerful than the prince, because they truly have all the information.
Vera, waltzes kind of over to him.
As you get over, you catch him mid-laugh. Oh, and he gives him a clap on the back. And as you get close and he sees you, he's like, "We'll finish this conversation in an hour, so I've got some business to attend to." And he just kind of, they say their goodbyes, and he looks over to you, and he's like, "Ms. Volkov, a pleasure." And he reaches for your hand to give it a kiss.
Of course.
Does Vera give it?
She does. She's in gloves tonight because
Sure.
we're in public, so again, no touch.
He simply
so of course she gets it.
brings it up and kisses your knuckles as though and bowing his head like a queen to a queen, and he lets your hand go, and he's like, "What do I owe the pleasure of such beautiful and rare company?" He looks past your shoulder. "No pet this evening."
Not this evening. I let him off the leash for a while.
"Oh, rare taste of freedom for such a young pup. I'm sure he's loving it. Shall we walk?"
Wherever you'd like.
And as he takes a step off the concrete, outside the building, off the concrete, and onto some crunchy, dewy grass. There's a bit of a bench over near the tree line that he walks over to, and it's a little bit damp, and he takes off his overcoat and he places it on the damp bench for you and makes a grand gesture.
Always a gentleman.
I didn't achieve such status without being one.
She makes a whole thing of sitting.
And he stays standing the whole while, shoves his pockets. He reaches up into his front pocket and pulls his glasses out, wipes them before sliding them on, and then puts his hands in his pants pocket. "Well, I could have infinite things to gossip about this evening, but Vera, you are but a mystery. I wish to merely open the floor to you."
Oh, Archer. Again with your sugared words.
One
As
say
you said-
sugared, I say truth.
And this is why I've come to you.
As
you
he
said.
lets the silence linger.
As you said, the last time we had a moment alone, it really wasn't alone.
No. It was your... Is pet offensive?
To some.
To you?
Some people become very connected to their pets.
I see. Would you like me to call him by name then?
If you choose, because the conversation isn't actually about him.
Oh, he seems genuinely surprised when you say that. He's like, yes, it's nice to not have Sean by your side in this moment. What is the conversation about, if not for your curious ward?
You and I both know that Vera Volkov can't really always sit in polite society.
She kind of smiles, like she wants to see if where is he at on this conversation? Like, how deep can she go? Because she will.
He when you say that, he very clearly kind of breathily chuckles when you say such a thing.
In your humor is my demise.
Is many people's demise.
It's true, but it has not seemed to be yours.
I was born to play the game, Vera. What else to tell you?
Some would say I was too, but I'm not entirely sure of that. The last Elysium gathering we had, I was unable to gain favor. In more ways than one, with those that matter.
My apologies, then.
No.
I believe you. He looks to you with a confused look, and he's like, "So I believe you know why."
I do. And that is not to the point. Say I wanted it.
Vera Volkov wants favor with the Camarilla.
Vera Volkov is interested in a lot of things, Arturo.
Aren't we all? But I thought just giving you that piece of the city and distance and peace and quiet is all you would need. It's a bit difficult to overcome a past such as your own. To be allowed to live every night to night should be a gift that you, for lack of a better word, embrace.
Thus why I am here.
Oh. You have my ear now.
So tell me, what does an ancient Nosferatu, Gustav, have that old Vera Volkov doesn't? I heard he gave a gift to the prince. A pretty one, but I don't know what it is. I'm here to shake the box. I want to know what's under the wrapping.
Well, it is easier for Gustav to walk into the graces of someone who doesn't have a Sabbat history behind them.
Say that was a hypothetical if you need it, Arturo. Tell me, what did he give her?
You ask for so much, and what do you offer in return?
What do you want?
Oh, the world?
Well, now Vera Volkov can do a whole lot, but I cannot give you the world. If I could, I would have already taken it for myself.
You know, it's interesting. It's hard to know what to ask from somebody who keeps himself so secret and private all the time.
Well, now aren't we in a predicament? The Harpy of New York City doesn't know what to ask for.
Free access to your club. Let me come say hi.
Arturo, you have always had an invitation.
An invitation because I am a harpy. Not an invitation because I am Arturo.
Fine. You want a place to hang out in your off hours?
I want a personal invitation from Vera Volkov that I may attend the Succubus Club in Chicago anytime I desire. You are right. As Harpy, I can walk in should I need to, on order of business. But a personal invite from the mass murderer herself?
You have such a way with words. How's a girl supposed to say no?
Go ahead and try.
I wouldn't dare. Yes looks a lot better on me.
That we both agree on. Well, then I have an invite expected in the mail.
Of course. Do me a favor. Give me a heads up before you come. I'll prep a performance.
He smiles widely to that, pulls his glasses off, and kind of wipes away a smudge before tucking them back into his pocket. I'll keep that in mind, though I hear your dance is a one-time only thing.
That's funny. I have other dances.
Tonight I am nothing but intrigued.
Well, Don't let me distract you. You have business to attend to, no doubt.
And you want to know what Gustav gave to the prince?
I do.
I'll see you at your club sometime soon, Vera. We'll have a nice talk.
Like I said, a heads up.
I'll ensure I give you plenty of preparation time. I'm eager to see it as an individual, not as a government employee, he says, dripping with sarcasm.
Then we'll make sure to make a night of it.
On that, he bows incredibly deeply, stands back up, pulls his glasses back out, slides them back on, and spins with flourish, or walking back into Elysium.
Vera gets up, realizing he left his jacket. She pulls it off the bench. It's all
all
damp. She
soaking
tosses
wet.
it, in a can, a
Yep.
bin nearby.
It slaps like that metal can, like that wet clothing slap as it hits the metal can. Din.
Ugh.
I always hate doing business with trash.
That's a perfect one-liner to cut away from Vera. And to move over to Sean. Sean, where were you, I apologize, heading?
Sean is at the Succubus Club.
Oh, you're going to be at the Succubus Club. Doing what? Oh, alchemy stuff, right?
Yeah, he's in his room, and he, soon after coming back from the club where he beat the crap out of a guy, he goes into his room, he picks up a plate, spits a bunch of blood into it.
You actually hear dry gagging from somewhere behind a pile of pillows. And you just look, as you look over, you realize one of your well, actually, it's the guy who's always pantsless is there. And he's like, what are you doing? Stop! Oh God, this is what the bathrooms are for.
Don't touch this.
Okay, no problem.
He adjusts his jaw. I got into a
You hear,
fight.
like a popping noise.
And then he flops into the pile of pillows next to this dude and just kind of zones out and starts replaying the fight in Omnia where he disintegrated a person in his head.
What does Sean feel about that? As he sits and we watch as that kind of disassociative stare begins to crawl across his face, that blank look and those unfocused eyes. What is he feeling as he's consistently reliving this?
He is weighing up his duty or his mission that he was given versus the fact that they were not innocent, but they certainly didn't know enough to deserve what they got. And he could have very easily been in the same position. So he's extremely conflicted and pretty cut up about it.
The camera kind of starts wide, and we see both of you and your friend on the pillows as you're kind of begin to stare off. And we can hear your friend making jokes and laughing and trying to talk to you, and you giving kind of and grunts as response as the camera zooms in. But as we get closer, his voice gets more muffled, more like it's underwater as we get a real close profile shot of your face. And at this point, we need you to make your repentance roll. Is that what it's called?
Remorse
roll. My apologies.
Let's see if
or the
this
stain you
works.
incurred from a couple of episodes ago.
Sean got 1 success on 2 dice.
And so with a success, you live through it multiple times. And as you kind of think through the fight, you naturally try to rationalize away what happened. And it's true, when you spoke to Duke and Max, there wasn't wholly under your control. There was a feeling of when that ability went off, there was aspects of it that felt that were just beyond you. And as he disintegrated before you, you weren't sure how you could even have ended it. How could you have stopped it? What could you have changed? How would Sean compartmentalize this? Would he accept what Duke had said? Would he come up with his own reason?
I think the conclusion that Sean comes to is that he still took part in it and he feels guilt about that. But the person that put them in that situation on one side was Larson, so it's Larson's fault. And on the other side, it's Kadir, and Kadir's fault. So yeah, he feels that guilt, but I think it pretty quickly turns to anger.
And in that, you're able to kind of push and maintain, for lack of a better word here, just your humanity. What is Sean's humanity again?
It's 7 still.
Yeah, that's still really high, and again speaks to why Sean is such a bleeding heart, as Duke may have put it. And you spend hours thinking. By the time you kind of come out of it, snap to, your friend is snoring on the side, leaning up against a pillow. You could see a small pile of drool creeping out the side of his mouth and spilling forward the damp spot. And he's just gone. You're not sure if he imbibed anything, though you do see an empty beer bottle by him now, but no signs of a joint or anything. He seems to just be resting.
Sean kind of snaps out of it, bundles pillows onto him, to cover his nakedness as well as to stop him from getting cold.
He's a free bird. You can't put clothes on him. Clothes are from the man.
It's true, but in this situation, Sean is the man.
So, clothes go on as he snores away. Would Sean head downstairs to the blood room or anything?
Sean is going to do a little bit of alchemy. He's going to.
What are you going to do? What are we going to see?
He's going to take the blood that he spat in the plate that would have been dried by now, and he's going to crumble it up, and he's going to take the biggest nugget of weed you have ever seen. He takes it out of a packet, and it just immediately fills the room with stench.
Yeah.
And he grinds that down, and he makes this weird blood joint, and kind of anoints it with his own blood, and he is preparing a thing. He does get hungrier.
He gets a little hungrier in the process
from
as
preparing
you bleed yourself. Yep.
A thing. Shall I make the roll for preparation now or when I actually do it?
You can do it now if you want. I'm fine with it. Just notate it somewhere so you don't forget it.
Okay. 2 successes means it works, but not as expected.
Okay. Can you reroll 3 of those if you wanted to, or no?
Oh, I can. Yeah, I'll spend willpower on it. 3.
Yep. Well, that's fine. It's still a success, and we'll see what ends up happening. It's kind of weird to watch. I like to think of the camera in this scene, in the top corner of the room, just watching the room, and we watch Sean kind of going back and forth in a very drug kind of not drug maker, but yeah, that kind of thing. Prepping this thing as you're bleeding into it, rolling this thick viscous blood that you drained from this guy with the weed that you ground up. I imagine there's a spitting on it. It's very gross to any kind of layman observer who does not understand what's happening. And even to those who do understand what's happening, thin blood alchemy amongst normal kindred is a weird thing that shouldn't be happening, because in a lot of kindred's eyes, and Sean's would know this at this point, you're kind of stealing power in a way, and that's how a lot of kindred see it. But for anybody who just is watching, it just looks bizarre and nasty. But at the end, you have this big joint anointed with your blood and the blood of another with actual weed in it. And where does Sean put it?
He puts it in a little mint box, ready for later.
Perfect.
It's probably going to get pantsless to smoke it at some point.
I love it. So are you going to stay in the club then afterward?
Yeah, he's going to hang out in the club and probably spend more time downstairs bugging the prince.
Okay, so after that's all said and done, Vera would probably be arriving at this point. So you could have time with Sean alone if you'd like, and Duke would be returning somewhere around this time. May have already been back by now. Would Duke be downstairs? I just want to know, who would you be rustling into first, Duke or Sean?
Vera probably comes kind of brustling in at a little bit of a grumpy pace.
I'm not really sure where Duke would be. His in between time. He's probably just mindfully waiting for someone to arrive.
And so bustling in comes Vera, and you see Duke quietly sitting or standing, I imagine, one of the other, near the prince.
Sitting
next to the prince, and Vera comes bustling in.
I say right at her, right at the prince, while she lays there. Arturo sure is a piece of work. You did well choosing a harpy. Disgusting.
And then as you kind of stand up from that, Duke is sitting nearby.
Good evening to you as well.
Oh, Duke. I should have known you'd be lurking in a corner. Did you have a fruitful evening?
Vera, it's not very becoming of you to pick on those that are significantly taller than yourself.
I know, I'm sorry. I should have sat down first.
Wouldn't make much of a difference, would it? How was your evening? You seem rather flustered.
Far too social. Filled with smoozing.
You know, that's one of my favorite things about you as a Toreador. You loathe being a Toreador.
It's not that I loathe being a Toreador. It comes with a great share of benefits. I just loathe those who wield it toxically.
I can understand that. I respect it even.
Well, that is good to know. I'm glad to say that Arturo has received a private and open access VIP pass to the Succubus Club.
I have reconvened with the chantry and redefined some of my connections. With Johann no longer in the picture, I needed to make sure that there was someone there that I could operate alongside, and whom took an interest, then Sturbridge herself, the regent of the chantry.
Duke, friends in high places.
No, I have friends in low places as well, some of which seem to be laying here on the table in front of me.
Oh, now. He didn't mean it.
As the corpse just blankly stares to the ceiling in response.
For what it's worth, Prince, I know that you are candidly listening in. Maybe you should consider, well, that when you rise from this occasion that you try to reinvent the wheel of sorts, the chantry would be an incredibly valuable asset.
At this point, Sean boots down the door and is like, God damn it, Prince, you picked one hell of a sheriff. What a prick.
Speaking of a valuable asset, Sean.
Oh, hey.
Your evening was also fruitful.
I got what I needed. Another perk of being what I am. The dude at the Fangs for the Memories place would not accept a favor from me, so he's threatened to extract it from you. Sorry.
Pause. The dude?
Yeah, red tie, slick back hair, smells his own farts. Like skulls for days on jewelry.
Mathas, do I know this dude?
Does not ring a bell. Even though we told Sean he knows of you, this man does not ring a bell. The last time you were at that Fangs Out Club, Vera, just to give you a bit of a history, it was multiple kindred throughout. There was not just one kindred running the place.
Well, and then let's fast forward to the part where you said he threatened me?
Oh, no, just wants a favor from you. And not me.
Don't all men. Listen, Sean. Did you get what you needed?
Thank you. Yeah, I did.
Wonderful. I sent you expecting that there would be favors in return. I don't even know who owns that place anymore. I just know. Well, I know. You know.
I do know. Just like everywhere else in this town's owned by some bastard. Yeah. Obviously, aside from the Succubus Club, you know. Anyway, I got exactly what I needed. I broke a guy's nose, and I worked on more fun alchemy stuff. So I'm here to do whatever you need me to do.
He seems very excited this evening, Duke.
I was thinking the same thing.
Am I not allowed to be?
Of course you are.
Sturbridge is going to be incredibly involved in our forthcoming operations regarding the creature that was seen in the basement. Also, Sturbridge knows now that Mia is alive.
Well, I can't say that was a bad move. Just a bold one, Duke. But
They can't trace that back to us. That's not our problem, is it? It's just Larson's problem.
It's not our problem, no.
Thank fuck.
But we did have the intentions of going back at some point to do some further investigation, and it would be wise to keep us off scene while the regent was investigating further this creature.
well, it seems like we are going to become a hot topic of conversation very quickly.
Vera. They used the term purify.
Well, maybe it won't be our problem anymore, but until then, I bet someone comes snooping.
I say this because Max is missing. I wonder if he's...
As you say so, there's no voice that comes out of the darkness, no Max that appears.
My concern is that if they immediately start seeking purification and Max is on scene.
Oh.
I'll just send him a text. Oh wait.
Sean,
So
don't make me crush your phone.
okay.
Okay, well, we can go try to pick him up. Car is faster.
It's fair. We should make haste, unless he intends...
You know, Duke, I don't think showing back up on site's a great idea. We did kind of... Well, at least I did. Kill a few Thin Bloods. Just last night. I bet it is a hot spot at the moment. If they're going to hit it, it may take some time. And Max can take care of himself. Trust me. He'll get out if he needs to.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt of this. Just in my past, it was keen to move quickly, to get in front of things.
Well, we can still give him a ride. I'm sure he's been on his feet all evening.
And we'll cut there as the screen quickly changes. A manhole on a nearby block kind of gets pushed up as we see purple fingers sliding it over to the side. And as Max pulls himself from the sewers, do we see Max ripple out of existence as he pulls himself into the nearby city streets to look at the club? Can I get a rouse check? Because you're going to do the one that is you can move at the same time.
I do think Max would probably not want to bring Max Jr. into a potentially dangerous situation, so he would have popped back to the club and just let him out in the basement and to enjoy his new cat gymnasium.
Perfect.
And yes, he would obfuscate probably while he's still below.
Yep. Max, as you pull yourself into the nearby alleyway and you make your way out to the nearby street, immediately something strikes you as off. You do not hear a lot of chatter or conversation. Even on the night when you arrived to Omnia, there were still some people wandering outside and having drinks. Not that there was a line or anything, but there was the typical sounds of a relatively quiet club. But those sounds don't greet your ears, just occasional cars rolling by. Not many pedestrians seem to be strolling by the alleyway either, and as you make your way out and start walking toward the club, you can see the sign, Omnia, ahead of you. However, all of the lights are off. As we draw closer, you can see the front doors are taped shut with caution police tape, and as you make your way around back, so the same. But getting in is still very easy for Max. Because clearly this place has been shut down since last evening. Does Max want to head inside?
Yeah, I'm thinking again, like I mentioned, what with all the magic going around, there could be somebody who could see me in there. I'm thinking I just want to get the lay of the land, case the joint. It does seem like they reported those deaths. This is police tape that's up there, right?
That is correct. You may give me a wits investigation roll as you case the joint thoroughly, peering in windows and seeing if there's any remnants of any activity from the night before on the outside.
Well, that's going to be straight up wits.
You could use a willpower and reroll one die if you so chose.
You know, I'm thinking that might be a good idea. Let's try that again. So just a D10.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you just have the one success. On the inside and on the outside immediately, it simply looks like a place that's been rapidly closed down. There's still bottles behind the bar and tables with chairs pulled out. It all looks rather sudden and makes sense, as the night prior it was clearly still moving. But there was there doesn't look like there was an altercation on the inside or any fight. The only thing you actually come across as you kind of wander around is that morning's newspaper. And all it says is, on the front page of the Staten Island News, is mass murder or cult gone awry, with a big question mark, with Omnia's sign being the picture on the front.
All right. Nobody at all in the club, huh?
Not from looking on the outside. If you want a better and more detailed look, you'd have to go in at this point.
Okay. I'm gonna stick my nose in and see what's what.
Okay. We watch as Max weighs the decision. Is this what we want to do, or do we want to go inside? And so he takes a step forward to back door, front door, or window. What would Max try to get in?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the window is probably the best.
Okay. Do we want to try and wiggle it open, or do you just want to bash it with an elbow and climb in?
Nah, we're gonna want to make this surreptitious-like, so I'm gonna be, if I need to use my strength, I'll be careful not to smash anything.
Sure. Well, you can give me first a Dex larceny check to see if you can wiggle the window open. 2. It doesn't take much effort, as your long fingernails are able to get underneath, and eventually, with a little bit of strength as well, you can hear the lock pop as it breaks, but none of the window itself shatters, and none of the window frame, seems to give way, and you're able to slide it up and quickly climb up a couple feet. And as you slide into it's kind of one of those rectangular windows, you kind of pour yourself into one of the bathrooms. As you find your way onto the ground and land, you look around, and you are in the men's bathroom. It is dead silent and nobody in the immediate area. Where do you want to go? So you know all the floors. It goes up 3 floors and down to the basement where you saw everything happen, and the floor you're on now, which is the dance floor with the bar and everything.
Yeah. Let's check out that door that leads down to the basement anyway.
As you make your way over to the door, it is unlocked here. More police tape that you have to kind of step under as you make your way down. And your footsteps, if they could be heard, would likely echo amongst the empty hallway here. Quickly making your way to the room, the sight that greets you is both familiar and obviously different. 1, the chains still lie on the ground. Nothing is attached to it, and on first glance, it doesn't seem like any of the chains are ripped from the concrete. There's no evidence of them coming free. However, there are a ton of those police markers everywhere, numbered 1 to all the way up to like 30-something. Outlines of where the bodies likely were. It looks like a chaotic scene to anybody who steps in here. There's just plenty of markers throughout the whole area. But there's the only other thing that sticks out to you as you step in is that throughout actually, give me a wits occult, please. Give me a wits occult.
This'll be straight up wits again.
Nope. What you see is blood everywhere. There's just throughout the markers, there's just dried blood on the concrete ground that just seems to sprawl in many different directions. Now, on recollection, when you saw everything happened, lights went out, you heard bodies hit the floor, and when what little candles came back, you saw the glowing demonic beast before you. You weren't there long, you're not sure what or why, but there is now blood just everywhere on the floor.
Okay.
It is silent down here, however.
Any of these,
Do you step into the room? I just want to clarify. Do you just kind of stay on the outside and look in?
Stay.
You can get all of this from just staying on the outside and looking in.
Staying on the outside and looking in. Do I notice any markings around?
As you look about the room, not immediate. Just to spoil, the wits occult was for you to notice the blood maybe being in a pattern. No markings on the walls or anything like that.
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna... Max reaches into his trench coat, pulls out his sketchbook. And maybe I don't know what I'm looking at, but I'm just gonna try to record the scene.
And you do give me a what is it? Craft dexterity roll?
Straight dex.
With 3, you are able to kind of resketch the scene rather detailedly. You may not be, like you said, what you're looking at, but as you take your time and you take a good 30 minutes, maybe closer to 45, really kind of making sure you got all the markings as best you can and right from your perspective, Yeah, hey, hold it up. Yeah, not a half-assed bad job.
Yeah. Maybe Duke or somebody would know what this is. I can pass this by the chantry. Okay. So, now the question is, Max thinks to himself, how did the cops know about all the bodies in the basement? We didn't cause a ruckus when we left. Bodies upstairs all turned to ash. So, who dropped the dime? Okay. You gotta stop talking to yourself, Max. Shut up, Max.
That's why you need Max Jr. with you. What do we see Max do afterward? Does he continue to explore the rest of the club, or does he would he leave at this point? What would he do?
I think I'm gonna at least make a little pass upstairs to check out the spaces. There's probably no little body markers where we dusted those thin bloods.
As you, just to make, maybe Max, just to make sure as he goes up there, you are correct. There are no markers where those three even existed.
Okay. So who dropped the dime? All right. I'm heading back to the Succubus Club.
So Max leaves, and as he makes his way out back the door, back into the sewers, as you're making your way back, rather, over to the sewers and getting ready to leave, a familiar car rolls up, almost on cue. The door opens, and you see a coterie waiting for you, Max.
I guess you must be my ride.
Says a voice from the air as Max slides into the back seat.
Never not creepy as he does so, and the door shuts and the car rolls off.
I assume the windows are tinted.
Oh, I imagine they are.
Yeah, Max ripples into sight, holding up the picture that he has drawn.
You can all wits occult me as you examine the picture, those who are amongst in the car.
And he explains what it is, the fact that, and his suspicions about how exactly this all came to light. How did the police show up at the club, know that there were all these bodies there? We didn't disturb anything.
Geez, I might as well have rolled that grenade in there.
I'm going to rouse for this.
Sure. Risking that 4 hunger, my friend.
Yeah. Sometimes you just
but
gotta.
You do not gain a hunger, so let's see what you roll.
You said wits.
Wits occult.
Am I trying to? Okay, so
you're trying to spot something, not necessarily knowing.
Okay.
Like if
all right.
you were looking to know what it is, then I would be an intelligence call. But for right now, I'm just looking for you to spot something.
Gotcha. All right. So then, wits occult. Not a big pool, but it's decent enough. Smith. There we go.
3, and you could
can I willpower
reroll
reroll?
2 if you'd like.
Yeah.
You got 2 more successes, not a crit though, but still 5 successes total. As the he kind of hands over the drawing to the group, and everybody's kind of taking a turn looking at it, Duke gets his hands on it, and it's obvious why he missed it. The blood has moved and leaked into different directions, and it's hard to actually see it. But just take a minute and just maybe, if you especially, Duke, knowing blood patterns and how blood moves, if you just kind of rewind time a little bit and try to look at how the blood would have been on it when it fell. While you may not recognize what that symbol is, the blood itself certainly looks like it was deliberately placed, as though it would be some sort of... I mean, you've seen warding symbols here and there, not to know what they are, but they look like a kind of like bizarre runic symbols, and that's what it seems to look like.
Like a hieroglyphic of sorts.
Yeah, that's the word I'm fucking looking for. There it is.
Can I try to recall based off of that?
Nope, you would not know what this is.
Okay, all right.
This is a magic beyond you.
Then I'll take if he has a pen or a pencil, and I'll try to draw a bit more of a
away
clearer.
and you to kind of
Just the
outline
second
where
page
it
or-
would be,
yeah.
and so you do so, making it clear to the coterie that it certainly is a formation of a rune of some type.
This was deliberate.
Well, that's not an entire surprise. I imagine that it would be very helpful for your friend at the chantry to take a look.
Are you familiar with the Bali at all?
The Bali would be something Max would have heard of, Vera, but not Sean. The Bali are a bloodline of demon worshiping, right? They're would Vera know actually? What's your role in a cult, Vera?
There are no
Okay,
rules
so
in
you
the
wouldn't
cult.
actually know. Max would only know because of Gustav, and so that's the only reason he would know. So it would Vera and Sean would not have heard of the Bali. They're not a common bloodline at all.
Bali, that's a holiday destination, right?
I definitely didn't mean the location. I meant more along the lines of a smaller bloodline, a clan of sorts.
Yeah. I remember one of Gustav's old buddies. He used to call himself Crowley. Real fucking original, right? But, yeah, I think I heard them talking about that one time when Gustav dragged me along to a meet.
Well, Sturbridge, the regent at the chantry, believes that this is Bali related.
Wow. Well, Duke, maybe when you drop it off, you could ask your friends at the chantry to help us out a little bit. We could use a proper warding on the club at this point.
I believe it'll be a few days, but if they ward the club, they will need to ward above and below, meaning we will have to move the prince.
Yes, I've already been thinking on that. Since our very dear friend Arturo is going to be showing up when and how he pleases, I imagine that we need to put her somewhere where no one is going to look.
Stuff her in a suitcase and put her in my pants drawer. No one will look there.
No, in fact, do all of you remember that dear Christmas, the first one that we spent together?
Oh,
Yes, I'm familiar.
yeah, I remember that.
Our friend down the road. We've let her stay there for quite a while. If she is who I think she is, she has special healing abilities. More importantly, she has a school and a basement, no doubt. Somewhere where no one is going to look.
I mean, you think we can trust her?
I don't know, I want to ask Kadir his thoughts. But we need something off the grid, and we've let her stay here with no strings attached for a while.
That's true. We got a marker. We might as well call it in.
Seems like an important time and reason. It is something to simmer on. But we need to move quickly if we are going to have lots of foot traffic coming through the club. And I don't mean kind foot traffic either.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Slubbery are not well looked upon within the Camarilla. They're seen as like a breach.
Well, yeah, they're hard to keep the Masquerade because they have a giant eyeball on their forehead.
This could be a good opportunity for her to reconcile some of the soreness for the Slubbery within the Camarilla if she makes herself available to the prince.
I feel like it is worth a shot. It's very clear that the prince has healed in all rightful regard, but she still lays in some torpid state. We need to put her body into something safe. And we need to put her somewhere else safe.
Okay. You want to set it up? I can get the prince over there on the scene.
Like I said, I think we should talk to Kadir. He may not be okay with this.
As the Coterie kind of comes to a decision that they need to speak with Kadir, they separate. It's all in the same building, but for the evening. And as the camera pulls out before the episode ends, we find ourselves just outside Omnia one last time. As the night is about to finish, a small, tinted window car quickly pulls up and 3 individuals file out. They clearly push past the police tape and kick the door open, each with a pistol drawn. And as time passes, you see them leave, pile into the car, and drive away. But the camera lingers on Omnia as smoke begins to billow out the windows and fire begins to crackle along the sides. By morning, it'll be nothing more than a husk. And that's where we'll end this episode. And we'll return next week with the next installment of Stitch of Fate. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, Sean. Now, I'm sure you've heard Vera say no phones, but if we're going to break 1 billion followers, then I'm going to need you to do me a little favour. If you could hop onto Twitter and follow us at Pod by Night, that would be mint, and a 5-star review on iTunes ain't going to hurt either. And maybe I'll share some of them spicy DMs with you. Cheers, mate.